Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Back Shed Bible Study this morning. Today is Monday, October 25th, 2021. This is episode 79. Today, we are talking about feeding the hungry locally. And I want to welcome to the Back Shed, Pam Chatham. Pam, welcome.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
It is good to have you here. And I am excited because Pam, you are one of those that is you're part of Sunrise. You've been a part of Sunrise. You and your husband Bill, who we call Coach. So I'll behave. I'll call him Coach. But how long have you all been a part of Sunrise?
Since 98.
Wow, that's a little while.
Yeah, for a while.
20 something years. So you welcomed in Pastor Rich.
Yes, we did.
Right when he got there.
We came about the same time he did.
Okay. And
my son brought us to Sunrise. We were going to a small church that didn't have much of a youth group, and all his friends were going to Sunrise. So we said, well, we better go and take care of him and be where he is. So my other son had already left for college.
I can tell you that we have families at Sunrise today who are attending because their kids started coming to youth group.
Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely. Angie Bessenbacher, good morning. She says, Pam, hi, Pam.
Hi, Angie.
Angie, I walked into my office today to a gift bag from you with, I believe, their scones. And I am really excited to start to consume those. So thank you very much. Pam, as you know, this has been Pastor Appreciation Month, and,
yes.
And it really should be called Pastors Get Fat Month. But I love it. It is my favorite time of the year because so many people are so creative, and we have just been getting some fun things. And yes, Angie loved on me a little bit with some scones. So we'll be trying those out a little bit later today. Well, hey, everyone, I have asked Pam to come on and join us because Pam is a huge part of the Sunrise Christian Food Ministry, which is a local food closet that has been feeding hungry people for years. And so, Pam, why don't you give us a little bit of a history of the food closet? And I would love to have you tell us just how you got involved in the first place, because I got to be honest, I identify the food ministry with you, and I know there are other people behind this. But yeah, tell us a little bit about the history and how you got involved.
Okay, well, the food closet has been there since 1986, and it originally was in this tiny little shed in back of Advent Lutheran Church on San Juan Avenue.
Oh, like a shed like this?
Probably about the same size.
Okay. So you're saying that
I don't know if you have dirt on the floor, but this
you're
one
saying
has
in
dirt on
30
the floor.
years, this shed could be something really big.
Yes. And in 93, they built a building, a real building, and boy, blessed us with it. It was just awesome because it's a really nice building. And over the years, we've expanded. Well, originally it was portioned out, but over the years we've expanded till now we are the building. And I joined the food bank in 2007 when I retired from the state, but I was in unemployment insurance that whole 37 years. And so I had a connection to the needy from there on.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're seeing people firsthand that have that kind of significant need.
I saw them firsthand for a long time until we went to telephones.
Right.
But yes, well, that's after they tried shooting us for a long time. And so they shot us up several times, and that's why we went to telephones. But anyway.
Well, that's another story for another episode.
Another story for another day, yes. So anyway, but the reason I got involved was because at church, my husband and I used to sit next to Fred Christensen. And at that time, Fred Christensen was the president of Sunrise Christian Food Ministry. And he kept saying, well, when you retire, you have to come work for us. You have to come work for us. And we also became friends with Cliff and Lynn Greep, who worked at the Food Cliff ministry. Yep. And they kept saying, you have to come, you have to come. And so when I retired, I went to work for the Food Closet. And I used to work every Friday, and it just became a passion. It was just a real passion. And when Fred retired, I think he retired about the time Marcia passed away, his wife. And a man named Rocky Peterson came to be the new director. And he didn't have an assistant director. And I prayed about it, and I thought, oh gosh, here I go.
What have I gotten
And
myself
there I was,
into?
the assistant director, and that's been since I think about 2010.
Okay.
And here I still am.
Here you are.
Here I am. But it really is a passion. It's a passion for Rocky. It's a passion for me. Everybody who works there, we have people who say, we have kids who come to do their, mandatory service for school and stay. They come back every vacation, every holiday. We have people who come and do community service for the courts, and they stay because it becomes a passion. You come to love it. It's just so much. And we have fun. We like to have fun.
Well, it seems to me like it is something that is so practical, and especially for somebody that's volunteering, this is hands-on. You are watching the food literally, go from somebody who has donated it or a store that has donated it to straight into the hands of someone that needs it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I'll get into how we've changed a lot in the last 18 months.
Yeah. So let's go there, because I mean, you gave us a great introduction into it, and people that are a part of Sunrise have seen the Sunrise Christian Food Ministry for years, and they have a decent idea of what you do. But we all went on this strange hiatus for 18 months, and some of us started working in strange places, and like this. And and other people kind of disappeared, and we missed out on some of the things that were happening out there. I have no doubt that this season of COVID just radically transformed how that ministry is functioning. So tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I do have to say, when I started in 2007, we used to think we were really busy if we got 15 families a day. And my husband loves to tell the story about the day we had 30 families and I came home exhausted. Before COVID, we were getting 60 to 80 families a day. And by the way, we're open 5 days a week.
Okay.
So we're getting 60 to 80 families a day. And people would come and they would line up, and then they would come into our lobby and register. And then we would pack their food according to what they needed and go out to their car and put it in their car. Then COVID happened and they said, nope, we can't do that anymore. We can't touch them. We can't get near them. We can't do anything like that. So over 3 days, we had to change the way we did business. And so what we do is the non-perishable food, we pre-pack in, well, whatever we have, boxes or bags. We pre-pack that. We pre-pack the vegetables. This is what we do between 7 and 10 in the morning. We pre-pack the vegetables. And then as they come in, we package the meat, dairy products, whatever we have like that. Then they register down in the parking lot down below. They register down there and they get a sticker on their car. And the sticker tells us how many people in their family. So when they drive up, we know how many bags of whatever to give them.
Sure.
And they either open their trunk or their back seat. We load it up. We wave goodbye, tell them God bless you, and off they go. We had to change that whole operation in 3 days.
That, yeah, believe me, and I understand what that the trying to change your whole operation in a matter of 3 days. Yes. I think a lot of us went
Yes.
through that. But I think the thing that strikes me in this is that you're probably going into a lot less personal interaction with that, aren't you?
Yes and no. We do have to, well, we have the person who checks them in. And then when they drive up, we have a table there with what we call the odds and ends. From the stores, we get really interesting things.
Oh, I can
learned
imagine.
a lot. uh, but we will get shampoo, deodorant, things we don't pre-pack into
Sure.
bags. And so we put them on a table at the driver's eye level. And we have somebody there
Got it.
who tells them when to turn their ignition off so we don't get smoked out by noon,
Right.
and asks them what they want off the table and puts that in their car also. And so we have that interaction. We do have people that ask us to pray for them still. We've always had that. And so we will pray for them, but we don't touch them. They're also asked to always have a mask on because they roll down their windows. We tell them to stay in their car, but we do have that interaction. But yeah, way less interaction. We used to be able to go down the line as they were standing in line and ask if we could pray for them, see how the day was going, stuff like that. But no, we don't have that. And we don't even, they can't say, gee, I don't want canned vegetables today. We say, they're in your bag, give them to your neighbors. We can't do that anymore.
Right. So
they can say, I don't want pork or I don't want chicken, because that hasn't been packed yet. But that they can say, I don't want milk. They can tell us that because that hasn't been packed yet, but that's it.
But that's unfortunate. It's too bad it has to be that way. And I think we're all praying for a time when it doesn't, right?
Right. But the one thing is very different is prior to COVID, we would tell them they could only come once every 30 days. That was always the rule. Once COVID started, they could come as often as they need to.
All right.
Some of them come twice a week. Some of them come every week. Some of them, they come as often as they need to. There's no limit. And so now we serve anywhere up to 150 families a day.
Wow.
This type of operation takes a lot more volunteers.
So let's just go back to a couple of minutes ago. I think you said you started around 15 a day.
Yeah.
Right. So if 150, my multiplication tells me that's 10 times. 10 times the number.
Right. Plus this, this takes a lot more people.
Right. Oh yeah.
We pick up from, I think I wrote it down somewhere to tell you. We pick up from 11 different markets in the morning.
Okay.
We go to Costco, Sam's, Safeway, Rayleigh's, bunch of other places, 3 Walmarts, Food Max.
Allow me to interrupt you for a second. Some people don't realize how involved our local grocery stores and things like that are in a food ministry.
Yes.
And so tell us a little bit about how that works.
Okay, there's an organization called Feeding America. You might have seen them advertise on TV. I'm not exactly sure how old they are. I'm going to guess it's maybe 25 years old. It's not that old. Somebody somewhere said, you know what? These markets are throwing away all this food that's really still very good. Can we need to do something because the food closets are dying for food. So what they did was they got this organization together and they told the markets, hey, give the food to the local food closet. We weigh it when it comes in. We mark down all the weights. We tell Feeding America, right now that's via Sacramento Food Bank and Family Services. And then they get the Feeding America gives the market a voucher that says, hey, write this off on your taxes. And it's a win-win. They get a tax write-off, we get the food. And so, like I said, we got those guys. We also get, Olive Garden. Oh, you'll love this. On Mondays, everybody who ordered food from Olive Garden and didn't pick it up, we get it.
Really?
Plus, we get all of the soups and sauces that they had left over. They put them in like Ziploc bags, in gallon Ziploc bags, and we hand those out. People love
That's
that.
fantastic. So Monday's the day, huh?
So Monday's the day. If you want Olive Garden, come Monday. Don't come till after 10 though, or 10, about 11. That's when it comes in. Yeah, that's the day.
Fascinating.
We also get family donuts every day. And we get food, we get milk and other dairy products from the McClellan Commissary. That's just Mondays and Fridays, though. So some of the people who come regularly, they're tuned into all this.
Right. I can imagine. I heard donuts. I understand
donuts.
how that works.
Family donuts every day.
Yeah. Wow. So what would you say was the increase in, I mean, you talked about how, in the last 18 months that you have gone from saying once a month to however often you need to be there. What kind of increase was that for you all in quantity of people coming? You said you're at about 150 families a day.
Yeah. Well, right now we're at 100 to 120.
Okay.
But right now, well, I shouldn't say right now. Right now, as we get into the holidays, we'll be back up to 150 to 200 a day.
Mm-hmm.
And we usually give out around 2,000 to 2,500 turkeys with the fixings at Thanksgiving. And so we're going to be very, very busy coming up soon. But yeah, we've not only had it, that's a big increase in cost for us. I'll get into cost here for a second.
Yeah, please.
We buy a lot of food. We used to spend around $4,000 to $6,000 a month buying food that we consider essential, that we supplement what the markets give us. We think peanut butter is essential. We think soup's essential, vegetables, canned fruit, tuna or chicken or something like that. Those are essentials as far as we're concerned. So we supplement and buy what we need to supplement that. Well, as the need increases, with what we buy is increased up to about $10,000 a month.
I had never really considered that, Pam. So you're educating me today, so thank you very much. But I hadn't thought much about that, because you just kind of assume that people are donating food items to a food closet, and yet you need money. I mean,
yes,
it's or people to donate more essentials. But
yeah, and we are extremely blessed. And I think it's because we're one of the few Christian food closets. Before the pandemic, we were supported by 26 churches. Most of them financially, a lot of them were smaller churches that could give us food drives. Some of them both. Since the pandemic, a lot of them being small ones, we're now only supported by 16 churches.
Oh, wow.
We have more we have financially bigger contributions by individuals than we do by churches. Yeah. And it's always been that way.
Okay.
Not just now because of the decrease. And that's because a lot of churches have started opening up again.
Right.
A lot of them closed. And another thing that happened when the pandemic hit, in Sacramento County, there used to be 220 food closets.
Right.
When the pandemic hit, well, a lot of those food closets were one food closet per church. Well, the church is closed.
Oh.
So the food closet's closed.
Yep.
There were only 26 of us left, big enough to support anything.
Right.
And so Sacramento Food Bank and Family Services, which is kind of the umbrella agency under which we all work, really went to work. And you probably heard the governor at the beginning of the pandemic say, hey, farmers, give your produce to the food closets.
Right.
Well, they did.
Okay.
And in this area, since we're a big farm area, Sacramento Food Bank and Family Services really went to work. And that first summer, we had so much wonderful produce. It was amazing.
Which is fantastic. I mean,
Yeah.
when you think about what people are typically getting from a food bank or a food closet, those tend to be the canned items and
Right.
cereal and peanut butter and those kinds of things. But to be able to have fresh vegetables
Yeah.
to put in people's hands is a huge thing.
Amazing.
I know Brad Squires and I have talked about that several times. And
it's well, we have always been blessed. We have two local gardens, I'll say. One in on Sylvan, I don't know what they call it, Sylvan something garden on Sylvan Avenue, just north of Greenback. There's a raised garden there. They have several plots they dedicate to us that raise, they give us produce every morning. The Fair Oaks Garden gives us produce. And then we always get a lot of fresh produce from Sam's and Costco.
Good.
And then other markets we get produce from too, but those are our biggest sources of produce. But that summer we have a walk-in cooler that's probably 10 times bigger than the one at our church. Tim is incredibly jealous, but anyway.
No,
he's been out several times.
You got that walk-in. How long ago was that? About maybe 5 years ago?
It was the year before the pandemic.
Okay. Well, my timing's off.
We have a walk-in freezer and a walk-in cooler. And anyway, yeah. So we filled that. Plus, when they built it, the area that right outside of it, that connects the food closet to that, they went ahead and paneled that with walls for a cooler in case we had overflow.
Right.
Well, we had overflow.
Yeah.
And it was just amazing. It was wonderful. And this summer we didn't get quite as much, but we were still getting boxes and boxes of produce. And this was all Sacramento Food Bank and Family Services arranging all of this. It was just wonderful. They also talk to the federal government. We get what's called TFAP, which is, wait a minute, the Federal Emergency, what is the TFAP? Federal Emergency Food, I have to think about it from anyway. It's people think of it in terms of milk and cheese that the feds always gave out, but it's more than that. It's a variety of foods that we get from the federal government. Well, they arranged for that to be more for the 26 of us that were still open. I think it got down to 25 after a while. And so we got more of that. And then more recently, for the last maybe 6 months, they got grants to pay for all the canned food that they buy that we used to be able to buy from them for 19 cents a pound. They got grants to pay for all that. They just did amazing things to make sure we all had enough food to give to people. Well, just amazing.
And what a time. I mean, you and I were talking about this before we went live here this morning. We're watching what's happening with inflation being the way it's kicking in, this bizarre employment world that we're in. And it's showing all the more that people are going to be needing more and more. The demands are going to be greater and greater. And I love what Sharon Soden says here. So she talks about if we're not able to donate our time, we should consider donating our money. But she hits both things. Is you all would love to have people donating their time, and you'd love to have people donating their money.
Yes, we would both. Yeah. I'll get into volunteers.
Mm-hmm.
We are one of maybe only a couple in the whole Sacramento area. We may be the only ones by now. We are 100% volunteers. We have no paid staff. Our board of directors is the only board of directors not paid. We figure if we have any money, it goes towards food or facilities or something.
Right.
We have no debt. We raised the money for the walk-in cooler before we built it. We bought a brand new truck, which is beautiful, but we raised the money for that before we bought it. We just have no debt. We don't like to do that, but we don't have to have food drives. We have such a supportive community behind us. They have them for us. We don't have to ask for them. It's just wonderful.
Right.
But yes, the way we do business now, we need a lot more volunteers.
Okay.
And what we did is at the beginning of the pandemic, we had a lot of seniors who were told to stay home.
Right.
And so they did. But we had a wonderful volunteer coordinator who just hustled and found an organization called Hands on Sacramento, which is where people go when they're looking for some place to volunteer. So she grabbed hold of them and got a lot of students that were looking for something to do because they couldn't go to school.
Right. Yeah.
So we got them, but oh good, they all went back to school this year.
Right.
So now we're hustling for volunteers again. And we really, like I said, we need them, but we will really need them next month, which is only next week.
Right. Because as the Thanksgiving and Christmas season kick in, it is, like you said, you're probably going to give away 2,000 to 2,500 Thanksgiving meals, something like that.
In 2 days.
In 2 days.
We have, that's going to be the 18th and 19th of November. I understand there is a large group from our church that's already signed up those 2 days.
All right.
I'm not sure who they are, but
I'm not either.
Thank you, Lord.
They didn't tell me.
They didn't tell me either. But we'll take another large group. It is going to take a large blessing from God to get enough people there to do that. We have to have somebody up at the food closet bagging the extras that we have to bag. Yeah. And then we're going to have 4 lines of cars down below in the parking lot. If familiar with Advent Lutheran Church, we're going to have 4 lines of cars and somebody at the end of each line of cars. We call it tossing turkeys.
Are they going to be frozen?
Yes.
You can bowl them.
They have 4 days to defrost them. Throwing turkeys and a bag of goodies in the back of people's cars as they go through.
Okay, so Pam, I've got Amanda Moxley who's watching along today. She's given some thumbs up here, but she says, "Hey, what are the times for those days if I want to volunteer?"
We will be there in the morning from 9 to 3.
9 to 3.
Probably 4, but we're saying 9 to 3. And if they want to volunteer, I didn't bring her card in. They can go on to handsonsacramento.com or .org probably, or they can go to sunrisechristianfoodministry.org. It's our website, and then there's a tab there for volunteers, and they can volunteer there. They can sign up there, and it says, when are you available? And you can say those days, or you can volunteer anytime. We're always looking for volunteers,
okay,
but those days in particular.
So specifically the dates again on that were November
18th and 19th. It's 18th. A Thursday and a Friday from 9 to 3.
9 to 3. I'm going to put that in the show notes today that we make available on the, it's a podcasting term I've learned about these days, but so if you're watching on the YouTube version or the listening on the podcast version, we'll have that in the show notes. Also, we Pam, people can hold me accountable to this, but as you know, Sunrise through our benevolence fund gives toward the Sunrise Christian Food Ministry every month. Yes. But we'll do a Thanksgiving and Christmas bonus or something in there. So
that would be awesome.
We'll step that up for these next few months because I know the need's going to be huge. So I'll have a little chit chat with the benevolence team here in the next few days, and we'll make sure to get those your direction.
Thank you. We really appreciate it. like I said, that it used to cost around $100,000, and I'm talking 7, 8 years now, maybe even just 5 years ago, to run the food bank, and now
Yeah.
it's almost 200,000
200,000 a
year.
year. Yeah.
Which
Which when I think about the scope of what you do, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have, but we've come, and lately this has happened numbers of times. We have come to the end of the day with nothing in our freezer, nothing in the coolers, and very little on the shelves, and gone, we're going to open tomorrow and feed 120 families, which translates to about 300 and something people. What are we going to do? And then we just all sit down and pray, and God provides, and we have plenty of food for the next day.
There's this little boy standing there with a few loaves and a couple of fish, right?
Yeah, that's what we always say. Who's got a couple of fish? That's how it works.
Yeah, absolutely amazing.
We have never had to close. Well, I shouldn't say that. One time when Fred was in charge, we had to close for one day for absolutely not a can of food in the place.
Wow.
And so we just all came in the next day, the day we closed, and we just had a prayer session. And the following day, without us saying anything to anybody, food just started pouring in.
You mean you didn't sit there and organize a planning meeting on how to solve the problem, but you went to the Lord?
Nothing. We're Baptists, but we're not Southern Baptists.
I am so glad you said that. It's especially in our modern culture and the way so many of us think, the first thing we want to do is we want to go figure out how to solve the problem rather than going straight to the one who can solve it, right?
Yeah. Yep. And we pray before we open.
Oh man. Micah Paul is following along here today, and Micah and Mackenzie just walked through an incredibly challenging season last late spring, early summer, with their son, and they got to experience firsthand the family of God coming around them, lifting them up, supporting them, giving them food, like everything. And so he's talking about just how thankful he is for food closets. A family was blessed at the beginning of the year in a time of need. I have a whole new appreciation.
And I want to say, for anybody out there who needs food and can't get out of the house, you can send somebody to get your food. Just write a note, give them a copy of your driver's license, and send them in. That's all you need.
I love it. Yeah.
We have a lot of people saying, well, I can't come in. Can you deliver? We do not have the capacity to deliver. We're busy enough. Right. But you can send somebody else in. That's don't care.
Yeah. Pam, give me as we close things off here today, and I'm putting you on the spot because I didn't ask you ahead of time to do this. So here you go, but I know you're good. So give us a story. Tell us a story where you've told us some really cool stories of God's faithfulness in providing food for the food closet. But what about a family where they've come back and said, let me tell you how, us coming through here and you filled their need and what's happening now. Do you have anything like that?
Well, we have a lot of volunteers who used to be customers. I can just tell you a lot of them. But one of my favorite stories about being non-judgmental, because a lot of the newer people who haven't been around a while will say, well, that guy just drove up in a Jaguar. They look at them, they're in a Mercedes. I had, they usually borrowed a car, by the way. But anyway, I had a man come up, this was several years ago, but a man come up in a Mercedes, dressed very nicely and nicely pressed pants and a dress shirt and tie, and came in, registered, took his food out to him in his car. It was a brand new Mercedes. And as I was putting the food in his trunk, he had like a little tear in his eye. And he said, I really hope you don't think I'm taking advantage of you. And I said, we don't judge anybody. And he said, but, you know, 9 months ago, I got a really big promotion at work. And so I bought this car as a reward for myself. But 6 months ago, I got laid off and they're repossessing the car next week. And I wanted to come get food for my family before I didn't have a way to get here.
Oh my.
That was my lesson in not judging.
I have goosebumps right now. Just that it's so easy for us to just
so easy for us to judge.
Look at the external and have no idea what's going on behind the scenes.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So I always tell people who come in and they say something about it, I said, you have no idea what their story is. None.
Yeah.
You know, we get a lot of homeless people who come back when they have got themselves squared away. And, you know, the story of homeless people is incredible. A lot of them are very sober and very looking for things. And it's just incredible. They come back and want to work for us because they were so grateful.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's really the case of every time if you spend some time down at the Union Gospel Mission, you hear that story over and over. I mean, almost everyone that's involved down there has been a resident or been helped by the program.
Most of it, there, but for the grace of God.
Yeah. Well, I think we have a great challenge for all of us today, and I love it. Is not only honestly the financial giving is easy; it's the giving of the time that is probably more significantly needed. And and in the end, I know that we shouldn't be going after what's in it for us, but it is quite rewarding to be a part of God's work there. And he's just calling us to do this. I mean, it is a very clear call that he puts on our lives for us to feed the hungry. And
I'll tell you, and I've told Jen and some other people, my Bible study ladies, if you ever know anyone who has a real need on a weekend or in the evening or anything else, just because you have my number.
I do. I know how to find you.
I have keys. I'll take somebody in to get food. This is my heart.
Yeah. Amen. Hey, Pam, let me pray as we close this up. Thank you so much for just like I say, so many people that have been around the church for a long time understand the ministry of the Sunrise Food Ministry, but we've had a lot of new people come to the church in the last year, and I'm thrilled to be able to expose them to what is happening over there and get people more involved. That's what we want.
And that box in the lobby when you go shopping, if you just buy one extra thing and put in that box.
Right. Helps. It's right by the just to the right side of the entry doors to the worship center in the lobby. And you can give items all the time. And like I said, financially, I would encourage people to donate directly to the food ministry, but we do support the food ministry through the benevolence fund. And so people can give toward the food ministry through Sunrise. But we'd love to, encourage you to go directly to them too. What's that?
I was going to say, I have people hand me checks at
church.
Hand me checks at church. Yeah.
Make them out to Pam Chatham? No.
Chatham, right.
I have the same thing happen to me. So let's pray. Lord, thank you so much for this time this morning. I thank you for Pam and I praise you for how you have used this ministry to bless so many people, thousands and thousands and thousands of people. And Father, would they continue to live in faith? I love that story of when they ran out of food, that they got together to pray rather than strategize. And I thank you for how you so clearly and faithfully showed up. So please, as you continue to work through them, Lord, would you help also raise up an army to support them and be a part of it. Thank you for all these food ministries that exist around to be able to meet such a clear need that is in our area. And would you move in our hearts today let us not leave today without acting in some way, Lord. May we be led by your Spirit in that. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Oh, what a blessing, Pam.
Thanks.
Thank you. And,
Thanks for having me.
please give our gratitude to those that you work with, and continue to let us know when there are times of specific needs that we can be passing those on to others in the church. Many people making a lot of comments here this morning, and grateful for you and your ministry. God bless you all. We're looking forward to seeing you back here next week on the Back Shed. Next week, I do not have a guest. We're going to just be back in the Word and letting it challenge us, which is always fun. Right?
Right.
So you all have a good week, and we'll see you then. God bless you. Bye-bye.
Bye.